So, question is, why do people who travel abroad accept jobs that they ordinarily wouldn't accept back home? I'm just going to play the intro and then we will get into that.
First thing you want to do is to regain your power.
And it takes two to tango.
Oh my God, you need to see what she's going through. The husband broke her neck.
There are people who do jobs here, like for instance, care home, cleaning people, taking care of the elderly, even the security jobs. But when you speak with someone back home who is looking for a job, they just will not think of accepting those kinds of jobs. But why is it that people are able to, and people want it? Because people think that people are just being proud back home to refuse doing stuff like that. What do you think is the reason why?
Well, it's not that difficult for anybody to figure that out. Like, one is the financial. That's number one, is the financial aspect. Pay structure. I would rather wash plates somewhere else, get paid higher, than stay at home and get probably 10 times less than that. Secondly, it's the shame factor. Like, think for instance, someone that has attained whatever level of education, and then now after that you settle down to almost next to nothing job. But then you hear about a job that's being paid almost what they pay a graduate by just doing almost next to nothing. You don't mind relocating just to do that, because it's just it just warrants that. I would rather stay somewhere else, save my face and the shame, go somewhere else, do that, earn a lot more than stay at home.
Somebody who actually needs shelter and needs money to buy food, are they thinking about shame and saving face right now?
It all depends on the percentage of people that can relocate just to do any type of job to survive. And sometimes you just have to do what you need to do to survive. That is legally okay. That is very, very. That is not condescending, But should I go and start, let's say, doing? I can't remember what they call those things, but wheeling barrel or concrete. After your studies in the university.
Let me change it to make it more meaningful. Let's say now, so care home, going to clean the elderly, or the security job, or even carpentry, plumbing. Let's take those ones.
Like I try to explain, I think it all depends on your level of education. Back home, yeah, I can imagine there are jobs that are being looked down upon because of our level of education, and then you are that high and you can't see yourself stooping low, because people look at this kind of job as, well, you know what, that's just all it is.
You mean something like carpentry, right? Or something like
even carpentry. I myself, for instance, let me use myself for instance. I'm an artist, but I am here and I'm not doing the job that I'm not because I want it that way. But I'm being pushed to do carpentry, which back at home, after my education, you tell me to go do carpentry from someone that has not even seen the walls of our school.
I got you exactly where I wanted you. But Tony, you see, the difference is that what you're earning is quite different from what you would earn from carpentry back home.
Okay. Can I come in here?
Yes.
Can I come in here? What I think is it's a little beyond. It's actually multifaceted. The reasons are actually multifaceted, because you cannot compare, first and foremost, what some of the jobs that we're talking about, what some people are paid, you understand me, in Nigeria, to what you are being paid abroad. That is one. Then two, people also do those jobs sometimes when they go abroad to at least find their footing. Do you understand? They do it to find a lot of people that do it, they actually do it for survival first. Let me find myself. Let me find my footing. Let me stand on 2 feet. Maybe be able to afford where to stay, be able to afford whether 2 or 3 square meals that you want to eat, and be able to, move myself around. Then I can begin to pursue what really that I want to do that equates to what I would have done if I was back home. So it's not really about just it's not just really about survival alone. It's also about the fact that what you are being paid cannot be compared to what you would have been paid at home. Aside the stigma, or for someone who has been educated.
Trying to hide that. So
Yes. No,
I don't know.
it's not like you're trying to hide
I'm
it.
just pulling his legs. I'm just pulling his
But
legs.
basically, it's back at home. If those professions were providing the same amount of money that it was providing abroad, I'm sure that graduates who find themselves in such a situation won't mind doing the job.
Absolutely.
Because one, it will pay their bills, they will live
Absolutely.
comfortably. But the fact that you are going below, so to say, your educational status, which should translate into your professional status, you're going below it, and yet you are still not going to be earning anything that will uplift your financial positions. So that I feel that it's the remuneration first and foremost that people will look at and say, look, okay, it might be a carpenter work, but it's more, I'm getting more than a banker in Nigeria, a top executive banker in Nigeria will be getting. So they say, okay, for the meantime, let me just close all my, let me find my footing, then I can begin to pursue my goals, some of the goals that I came abroad to do. So that's what I feel.
Yeah, I think
And
yeah.
and to support Akin, to back up what he's saying, um, in doing that, it somehow it becomes a continual struggle. Some people don't find their footing, or they might find their footing because of how the system
Works.
works. The question now is, how patient are you to really go through this hurdle of your new life, in this society that you are on? Because this is not what I am. For us, we were taught what it means to progress. And so, the speed of progression, or of progress you had when you were back home, from this year to this year, this is what you are. From this to that, this is what you are. But when you travel, it's kind of difficult to have the same margin, because then, in struggling to pay your rent, in struggling to adjust the new life and all those things, with the seasonal changes and everything, time flies so fast that you can hardly blink, and it's 5 years down the road, and you're still doing the same thing. And then besides that, not just that, maybe you're trying to, okay, let me see if I can find something better, or something easier, or something that can give you more, and so you're jumping from this to that, and of course we know how the system here works, because everything has been regulated, or somehow regimented, to a point where you earn hours, and your hours count to your credit, to how you advance. So if you have to leave somewhere you spent 5 years to jump into another industry, it's more like throwing away all the hours. And I was like, am I ready to do that? But at least it's a new phase of challenge when you're in the new world, you rather do that in the new world than do that back home.
Yeah, one thing, Tony,
Yeah,
in corroborating what you said, but also trying to give it perspective.
please.
In this, with what you've just discussed, or what you just said, there are actually two types of people, maybe more than two, but there are those who are contented. It's an individual thing. Some people get into a field, so to say, that will say that is below their level back home in terms of societal status, the way we attach societal status to jobs and
That's
professions.
correct. Yeah, yeah.
And when they come here, you understand me, they are comfortable because the job they are doing provides them daily bread. They can probably even go into a mortgage. It feeds them. It sends their children to school. So some people are already contented with it, that they don't mind the name. They are just, it pays the bills. They are able to save something if they can, and it moves their lives forward. Hoping that, okay, it will get better even within that industry that they found themselves.
That's
But you
correct.
see, that's where human beings are different. Some people are different. Some people will say, okay, I'm doing this now, but my goal is not to remain here. So they
That's
set a
right.
time for themselves and they begin to develop themselves in that field or in that industry that they have an eye on, and will not mind to get in there at an entry level. So we are talking about different people now. And then
Yeah,
when they get into that industry, in that, especially if age is on their side, you understand?
that's right.
I will advise anybody who age is on their side to adopt that approach. Do you understand?
When
And
we
then,
say age on their side, we're talking about people in their 30s,
yes, in their 30s,
Even
yeah,
40.
yeah,
even
even
late, even
early 40s, even
40s.
early
Yeah,
40s, yes, but
that's
not
correct.
late 40s. The moment you get into late 40s, even the moment you start appearing for entry level, they'll be looking at you like, when.
That's correct. That's right.
So,
Yeah,
so
yeah.
you
No,
understand. But
but
what
you
I'm
can
trying
still
to say
try.
is that there are different persons with different mentality, with different outlook and different approach to the same situation that we're talking about. But
Mm.
for people who I will advise that if you are closer to 50, the best you can do is, if you have worked in the employment cycle, because there are two people in this. If we are talking about people who have run their business all their lives, then most likely their life has been conditioned in the entrepreneurial way. But if you have people who have been in the employment cycle, as in they've been employed all their lives, even while they're at home, the best thing is for you to look at the highest of the lowest apples and cling on to it. You might not take the lowest, but the highest of the lowest that is reachable to you. Go into it and try and work your way through all of that, making sure that you earn enough money to sustain yourself and probably your family. But for those who maybe just started their working career 10, 12, maybe 15 years ago, you can change. You can remain in that profession, develop yourself, acquire additional education and skills, and then further, you might need to come down like 2, 3 levels from where you were in Nigeria. But that is what it takes. But if you have experience, if you have knowledge, if you have skill, they will push you faster than those, sometimes, than those who have been in it here, because you come from an environment that is volatile, that is fast-paced. So your thinking speed and your acting speed will be faster. If you're able to cultivate the way they do things in that industry, and you just apply that street factor into it, then you get it done faster, and they will look at you like a superstar. You
But
understand?
I think it depends on the people. Depends on the people around the area where you work. There are people
Yeah,
that
yeah. I
are
do, I
quite
do agree
jealous,
with you. I do
and
agree.
they will do everything to stomp you down. They will not even raise any iota of good about you, no matter, regardless of what you do. These are some of the things people like
Uh,
what you're
I,
talking
I
about
know, I
where it
know,
shine.
I
And
know,
so,
I know. There's systemic racism. I know
yeah,
there's
that's right.
systemic racism.
So,
Yeah,
yeah, yeah.
but you
Yeah.
cannot let that, because see, the Bible says something. It says, if the eye be single, the whole body will be flooded with light. A lot of the times, even though I recognize drawbacks, setbacks, and potential roadblocks in things that need to be done, one attitude that I have cultivated, and it has pushed me a lot forward in my life, is for me to be single purposed in my mind, or if I can say singularly purposed in my mind. I choose not to see, and I deal with those things as they arise. Because the truth about it, if you look at maybe the systemic racism in some of the Western countries,
You'll be so
it's not
discouraged.
in your face. It is blowing underneath, and sometimes it pops up and shows its face. But the truth about it, if you let that disturb you, or if you
Getting
let
to
that
you.
worry you, what it will do is that it will reduce your zeal. You understand me?
So
It can reduce your zeal to be to maybe to improve yourself, you know, to be at
in
the
a
top.
nutshell, do not shut the door on yourself.
Yeah, don't shut this door, especially if age is on your side. Even if age is not on your side, it depends.
In anything, don't shut the
Yeah,
door on yourself.
yes. Do just, you know them. They are in the corner of your eyes. They are in the corner, as in you're going, and when you're driving, you are looking at the road. But it doesn't mean you don't see this tomato seller, or you don't see the
That,
shop where they're selling ice cream.
that's
You see
correct.
them, but you
Yeah.
don't
Yeah,
focus on them. You focus on
that's
where
right.
you're going. Do you
I
understand
love
me?
that. That
And
is
when
another
you get
thing
to that bridge of maybe of systemic racism or whatever, you will find a way to get by. Have people gone by it? Yes. So if people have gone by it, then it gives me the chance that I can get by it too. But I will not let it stop me from doing all that I need to do to get to that bridge.
That's
absolutely.
correct. That absolutely. I have crossed that bridge too. You
Yeah.
know,
Okay.
it's something that we can, it's something that people have to be aware of. Like it even some of the young ones that I find here that have come crossed over to Canada, I talk to them, and based on my experience, I try to encourage lots of them never to
Because
allow nothing. In other words, keep focused. Remember why you came. Stick onto your goal. Because sometimes the best way to teach is just to share your story,
Yeah.
especially if, like, I have walked through a story that I know that when I open my mouth and talk to somebody, it's not about what I say, but it's about the journey that I have walked that has now opened and encourages them to say, wow, you know what? I get it. Thank you very much. And then they go up,
okay.
they just take it up from there.
Can
But
I
yeah,
can we
what
take
just,
it from can we take it from another angle so that we don't spend so much on that? Now some people back home are told that they're being lazy, because I was speaking with someone recently, that because I asked her, have you tried to do this and that back home? And she said, have you tried to do this and that? And she said, no, 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 back home, it's like this, it's like that. But if I was abroad now, I wouldn't mind going to work and a care home, going to do this and do that. And I said, and when she told me that, I thought about it and I realized that the truth is, there are certain jobs that you can take here. When you're looking at someone who is back home and thinking that they're too proud or they're lazy, think about it. Like we've talked about carpentry or plumbing here. Like a plumber here earns so much that he can afford to live in the same area where doctors live, to buy a home in the same area where doctors live. And that's because of the minimum wage. But you see, back home, we don't have a minimum wage that makes any sense. Not only is it not going to be um, adhered to, it's not even enough to provide the basics. And so if you're saying to someone to go and take those kinds of jobs, they can barely do anything with it. Not to talk about the fact that in our society, most people are going to school, they're educated, and you cannot go and study whatever other degree and come out and start going to just go and do carpentry or go and do, and then people look down on those because there's no minimum wage, so they're not earning enough. And so those jobs are not things that anybody who has gone to school is going to feel okay within their psyche, because they don't make enough, they're looked down upon. And you know how we talk carelessly back home, people will talk to you anyhow because they're looking at you, oh, you're just a carpenter, oh, you're just a this. So there is that to consider when we're talking to people about why don't you do this? You're talking about traveling abroad, you can go and do it abroad, but you can't do it back home. So there's that to
What I
consider.
tell, what I tell people most of the time is that I said, if you want to travel abroad, your preparation starts like 2 to 3 years before you actually leave. You can be doing whatever you're doing. It's not about the visa. It's not about the money to put in your account and all of that. I said the preparation actually starts about 2 to 3 years before you leave. It's a 2 to 3 year plan. especially for younger people. Get yourself. It doesn't have to be that, okay, oh, you have done the job for 10 years. First and foremost, get a recognized institution where you can learn that job and you can receive a certificate. Because apart from the fact that you need to have the knowledge, you need to have a recorded event of you having been trained, because that is necessary. Because nobody is going to take you, whether at home or abroad, nobody is going to take you and put you in a job based on the fact that you said you could do it. The first thing they want to know first is, were you trained in this job? Then they can take you through their own special training. Because everybody here, even no matter how much, they will still train you. And sometimes pay you even for the training. But what I say to people is that get yourself certified in a profession that is needed here, that they are looking for people.
Does that tie into what we're saying?
Yeah, it does. It does. See, that's what I'm trying to say. A lot of people think, okay, when you tell them, go and learn carpentry, you're just telling them, go to one roadside carpentry.
Okay, beautiful.
Yeah. No, we're not telling you to go to one. So you go to where it can be satisfied, it can be measured, it can be checked back that you learned that trade. And that takes a bit of time, because after learning, you need to have worked some measure. So even if it means you getting a certification in that trade and then working with a recognized establishment or somewhere where your service or your experience can be verified, do it. Do you understand? When you're done with that, then you can then begin the process, because then you'd have the certificate, you have the experience. So it's easy for you to integrate into the lower end of the job, whether you are a graduate or you are not a graduate. Do you understand me? It does in some jobs, it doesn't matter that you're a graduate. It doesn't. So far you have it, you have been trained.
While we're at this, now that you mentioned this, you just reminded me of something. Even back home, let's say as a carpenter, as a graduate, and you're looking for a job, there is a girl that I know. What she actually does is she refurbishes things for people. And because she's exposed, this is the girl who has been traveling in and out of the country. Because she's exposed, she's taken this as a business, and she can call herself a carpenter. She does those things, but she doesn't do it at that level. So for someone who is educated, there's a way you will now package yourself, and with your exposure and your knowledge, you're not going to do it in that way as any roadside carpenter that you pick up. You're going to do things that will stand you out. Think about the designs that you do. Just do one or two things and let people see them.
Document it.
So that I remember I even made a table for DV Works. I don't know if you ever saw that table. One glass table that had a camera kind of film thing in front of it.
No, we were competitors, so I would not be at DV
Works. You are competing with me?
No.
You and DV Works, okay.
Yes, now we are competitors.
Okay.
One thing into the office.
One thing I want to add to that in regards to what Akin is saying is, we have developed a class type mentality. Everything has to be in class.
No. But if you're earning that little, because here the plumber, not only just that, okay, we're looking at him, he earns well, he lives, you see him.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying is, back home, we have this social class. We have the mentality of this is where this has to be. No, wait. This is where this has to be. But over here, it doesn't apply.
It's only because of the minimum wage. That's the only reason. It's only because of the minimum wage.
No, yeah. It depends on where you're talking about minimum wage. If you're talking about minimum wage Canada, whether from top to bottom, it doesn't apply who is big or small. It doesn't apply. Any little person, whether it's earning minimum wage, still have a voice and can say something and can be heard.
But that's back home, I'm saying that's the reason why. Because there is dignity in labor. So those people are not they're not in the trenches. Like if I'm doing that kind of job, I am not going to be in the trenches, unlike back home. So there's always class and hierarchy. There is always class and hierarchy. But when you've relegated a person so much that they are so little because of the government's policies, that is what it is. That's why.
That in the first place, as just to corroborate what you guys said, in the first place, even though there seems to be minimum wage in Nigeria, there's really no minimum wage.
There's no minimum. It doesn't.
Even if you have maximum wage, they can owe you at any time for any.
So there's impunity. There's
so it means nothing.
Abuse credit.
Yes.
But beside that, I think as Tony said, it's also all about the dignity of labor. You understand? In Nigeria, there's no dignity of labor.
No.
You understand me? So when people hear what you do, they, except maybe recently in some
use that to judge you, right?
In some industries where you know that if you might have heard that this person, even though the name sounds small, but the money they earn is big. Do you understand me? But the issue basically is that at home, the moment people hear what you do, they kind of look down on you.
Yeah.
And that transposes on the way people see those professions and their what do you call their propensity to want to associate with that profession or go into it. So it's as Tony said, I agree with him that it's a status thing. But what I say to people is that it's all a societal perspective.
Societal perspective.
Yeah,
that's right. The mentality. That's right.
The more there are regulation within each industry, the more the status of that industry.
That is what it is. It's regulation.
So the only way to go is for the people in the industry to come together and create a certain level of, okay, if you say to yourself, okay, if you want to, I give you an example. There was a time all the organizers in Lagos just said, we're not doing 60 naira to fill a tire. And we're taking 200 naira now.
Because they have to live.
Do you understand? They said it.
And because they have to live. They have to feed their family.
Yes, they all agreed and stuck to it. Even though some of them will say, okay, if you are doing 4, if you are pumping 4 tires, then maybe we'll bring it down to 500 for you. So it comes to just a little over 100 naira. But if you're filling 1 tire, all of them will insist on 200. If a lot of small industries like that are looked down upon can do that, then it will help their lot.
Because government policies are not caring, looking into
especially in those parts. Yeah,
nobody's enforcing even the minimum wage. So that's really what it boils down to. It boils down to regulations.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. So let's close this one now and go on to the next topic.